Mark Mormon is going to take it from here. He is a BIM master. He lives in Holland. He's completed one proton therapy center in Saudi Arabia, which is probably one of the state-of-the-art cancer treatments technologies that are on the market right now. And they're just about ready to start another one. So he's got a lot of experience. But he also he's also very good at this program. He really believes in what we're doing here.
Well, William already did most of it, but let me introduce myself. My name is Mark. I'm from Holland. Currently, my position is as a BIM director for one of the bigger main contractors in Holland. My responsibilities lie within setting up structures for projects, making sure all the agreements are right, but also making sure that our organization does everything from within a BIM. And I will come to the part what BIM is, so no worries. My background is construction engineering, and I have a degree in business administration. I have been working on various projects in the Middle East. King Faisal Medical City, King Fahd Medical City, King Abdullah International Garden, a lot of kings they have in Saudi Arabia. And at the moment I'm working on, well, these are the two biggest projects I am. One is in Rotterdam. It are two towers of about 75 meters high each. And working in Amsterdam on the one on the right, it's one big renovation of a tower, so outfitting a new facade and all of those kind of items. BIM stands basically for Building Information Model. In short, there is a very nice definition. It's a virtual representation of a project in which predefined information is centrally stored and usable over the full life cycle of the project. Well, as you can see on the right, the image basically shows you the entire life cycle of a building. It starts with somebody has an ID, the programming part, then there comes a conceptual design. Well, the design goes ahead, then there is some analysis, there's documentation made. All of that is the complete life cycle of a building, and it ends up with the demolition or renovation of a building. All of that information which is generated during the life cycle of the project can be stored within a BIM model. One of the biggest benefits from an architectural point of view is that because what you're modeling is 3D, it's much faster in generating drawings. But another big part of it is that these drawings are all lined up with each other, so they are all the same. As an architect or a structural engineer, you will have to do some minor quantity extraction. For example, doors and windows, but maybe also you are offering to your client, well, the quantities of the building, and you can go to market, to a construction company, and ask them for a fee. It's possible within a BIM. We are basically reaching at a point where the limits of design are being met. You can only do so much within 2D. You can make calculations all you want, but then you have to build it eventually as well. With 3D, you can see what you're doing, you can put analysis on it, and you can see, okay, this design is buildable. I've seen projects in the Middle East which you will not believe they can be done, and I'm pretty sure they can't be done in 2D. 3D make it happen. Another part architects like is visuals. You can create direct visuals from the 3D model. BIM offers you, instead of design, you can also provide information, in other words, data to your client, to the construction teams, which can be turned into money. Because they are happy to pay for anything that will minimize their risk. I will show you a little bit more of that. The word efficient is basically what contractors are constantly looking for. They want to make as much money as possible. The way to do that is by being as efficient as possible, and that we can manage because of a single source information. In other words, the BIM model. Because of the visual aspect of the model, anybody understands 3D. You can show them, look, this is what you will get. Do you like it? Yes, no, what should we change? All of those kind of benefits. Yesterday I was with Una and I mentioned the word clash coordination. Has anybody ever heard of the term? Because it's a very big part of BIM. Clash coordination basically says, okay, we have multiple disciplines coming together in a design. So you have your architectural design, you have your structural design, you have your mechanical design, your electrical design, your plumbing design, maybe fire, I don't know what else. Traditionally, what we do is, as a contractor or maybe as a designer, you put the drawings of one discipline next to the other and say, look, does this match? Yes, this doesn't match. You check all the dimensions and then come to the conclusion it doesn't fit. Clash coordination does it with the software. So we have, for example, 3 different models making your project. A architectural model, structural model, mechanical model. And you want to know, how does this fit? There is software out there which will tell you exactly what is wrong with your design. It will show you, well, it's this image, these pipes, for example, don't fit. To find this traditionally, you either find it on site, causing a delay, because, okay, look, I know it's been designed this way, but it doesn't fit. What do? You have to talk to your project manager. Maybe if it's big, you have to talk to your client. All of this is done by the software. One big part is for construction companies is quantity extraction. How much concrete do we have to order? How much masonry? How many bricks? How many prefabricated beams? All of that. Right now it's mostly done manually. The guy gets the marker, this is what we have. And then his calculator saying, okay, it's 300 millimeters thick, 3 meters high, times this, and then you get your quantities. Software will handle that. So an enormous jump in efficiency. Something which I am at the moment working on to introduce into the company I work for is 4D and 5D aspect, because we have 3D, we have the building, it looks like the building, but we want to add other dimensions. 4D is time, so we will connect our time schedule with the 3D model and see whether what we are doing is correct. And 5D will be costs. So we have time and costs directly related to the model. After the construction phase, you hand over to the client, and if you are doing it within BIM, you can, besides the documentation, you can give your client the BIM model with all the information you have added to it, and then the phase of operation and maintenance starts. Another very interesting aspect is you can make real-life connections to the BIM model by tagging rooms or objects within the room with QR coding. I don't know if you've ever seen the QR coding on the top. Basically, you can, you can print it. If we put it here, you can go with your phone or your iPad or whatever. You can scan it, and you will get all the information about this object. So it's made of wood. Somebody, I don't know, company X delivered it. These are the agreements. This is what it costs. This is whatever you need to know. And what they're doing is basically when you enter a room next to the door or somewhere on a logical spot, they will put a QR code there. And for the maintenance manager, he will walk into the room, click on it, and say, okay, this is in the room. We have these kinds of light bulbs, we have this kind of floor. They did maintenance on the pumps 3 weeks ago, or all those kind of information. Really making your BIM model the source of information to work your business as efficient as possible. Because you have to imagine, if you can reduce the costs of keeping a building in the state as it is, you save huge amounts of money for an owner. And if you save money for somebody, they're interested to do business with you. That's basically the key. The word drafting, I think you're all familiar with it. Drafting a 2D CAD drawing, for example, does not exist anymore. Forget it. Forget AutoCAD, leave it. Never ever think about it again. The term is modeling. So you will still have drawings, but you will not be drafting them. You will be modeling a building. The way a model is built up is basically, and I think it's the best example you can give, it's based out of elements. Elements, you can compare them with the small Lego blocks you see. And what you try to do is connect all those elements together into a design or into a BIM. So you can see We go from a big pile of elements, walls, slabs, and we create a design in BIM. The best part about it is that if you look at a 2D drawing, it's dumb, flat drawings. Nothing is there. You have to attach a hatching, and then you have to make a line to it, and you have to type in this is this, and it's this thickness. And within BIM, that information is stored within the elements. So if I draw a brick wall, for example, it knows what hatching it will have to be. It will show you automatically geometry, so it will have thickness, it will have height, length, whatever you can think of geometry, and you can add more information to it. So for example, we're making a building which has a part blue walls and a part red walls. I want to know the difference. So you can attach to that element that its color is red, color is blue, material is brick, material is concrete, material is plastic. All of that will be stored in the elements, and you can directly extract that information out of the model. If you break down a BIM model to its basic structure, it's nothing else but a database. A database, you can put all the information in the world in it, but if you can't find the information efficiently, the database is useless. So you have to think what you want to do with a BIM model before you start, well, modeling like a madman and put in all the information you can imagine. And the best way to do it is by setting goals early on in the project. So if you're thinking about what do I want from the design phase, well, you can say, for example, I want 3D geometric coordination of architectural structural MEP model. So I want to test the 3 designs. What does that mean for the elements? You have to know for sure that the elements are trustworthy. Are they in the right position? Are they the right size? Because if you model a wall 500 millimeters thick, and in fact it will be 300, well, you can't do clash coordination. You have to know what you're asking of the model, and then you have to think of a structure and how am I going to ask, or even better, how is the person who will be working with the model going to ask that question. Where you do that is basically what they call a BIM execution plan. So you have your goals, you know what you want with the model. Okay, now how are we going to get from goals to eventually that there will actually be a model? Well, everything you have to do, you will write down in that execution plan. This plan will be shared with every team member. So it will be, if you are working with the architect, if you're working with the structural engineer, you're working with the contractor, you're working with the MEP, everybody will have his saying in that BIM execution plan. Rules about collaboration agreements. How do we share information? Do we use a PM Web, for example, to share our models? Do we use a PM Web to share our documentations? What are our goals with the BIM model? Most of the times, you can only set the goals with what the software can offer you. So basically, your goals most of the times are already, if we start a project today, we will do the goals within the capability of the software at the moment. So if you start a project, you always try to work with the latest version. So if today I would start a new project, I would ask all the parties, please do it in Revit 2015 or an ArchiCAD 18. But if that's a project for 5, 6, 7 years, you don't change in between. You have to think of what information do you want to add to the elements. Try to keep it as simple as possible. If nobody uses the information during the entire scope of work, don't put it in there. It's a waste of effort. Once I have set up a workflow for my company, I test it and I think, oh, it seems like such a good idea, it doesn't work. We go back to the drawing table. And companies will invest in it. So you can become a BIM coordinator. What will a BIM coordinator do? You will be responsible for a single project most of the times. What you will do, you will set up the clash reports, make a presentation to the client saying, look, these are the issues. You will validate the model, especially if you have set goals regarding the information. As a BIM coordinator, you will collaborate with all the parties And what you do is basically you keep the information organized and up to date. So anytime anybody has any question, they come up to you and they say, I need quantities of this. 5 minutes later, they have the quantities and everybody's happy with you. You can be a BIM engineer or a BIM modeler. What you do is then you are the creator of the model. Very interesting field, especially for the people who are working in MEP. It's impossible to get them in Holland. There are no MEP modelers. Or if they are way too expensive, and the quality they will deliver is bad. So it's an abundance of positions everywhere in Holland.
Everywhere in the world, actually.
I think everywhere in the world. That will get, if you send a resume to Dubai, I'm pretty sure you will have a job within 3 days. Oh, well, maybe not, don't pin me to it, but you will have very big advantages. Then you have the BIM content creator. If anybody is familiar with Revit, for example, Revit works based on families. A wall will belong to a family, and that family will tell you this is a brick wall or this is a wooden wall and it has this thickness. You can imagine that you do not want to redo that work every time you have a project. So you'll have 10 projects with brick walls. All the brick walls will be the same or a little bit deviation in it. You will create a library of content. So the modeler can immediately pick the right wall, all the information is added, just draw the element and done. That's what the content creators do. Or you can be a BIM manager, setting up a framework and rules for a BIM project. So basically outlining the BIM execution plan, keeping an eye on the modelers, looking whether they are doing it right or wrong, helping them, thinking of a strategy, how to best build a family, for example. You can be a BIM director. Basically, it's the next level as a BIM manager because you will be responsible for multiple projects. Right now, I have 4 projects running with me. I coordinate all the modelers of the different disciplines, but also you set up a strategy to. It's nice that I can do it. I can work with a BIM model, I can get the quantities, but you want the departments to work with the BIM model and directly get the information out of it. So that's a strategy you have to come up with as well. When I came here, I heard that people, when they talk about BIM, they only think about Revit. BIM is not Revit and Revit is not BIM. Let's first and foremost say that. Revit is a product made by Autodesk to create BIM models, but it's not the only one out there. But to learn Revit is a very wise move because I think 80% of the market at the moment is being done in Revit. That being said, you also have to make a distinction between the different kinds of software out there on the market. You have design software, which you can consider Revit, ArchiCAD, Tekla for steel structures. With the design software, you create the models you need. And then there is the other one, that's the model checking software, in which you will do the clash coordination, which you will validate the information. If you want to be a BIM coordinator, know Navis work by heart. It's very easy. There are a billion online tutorials. Just get 1 or 2 models, clash them, see what it does, see how you can organize them. The same you can do with Solibri. Solibri is the software we use. It's Scandinavian. It works on IFC, the Industry Foundation class, the open source one. If you want to do it on a good level and you're collaborating with other people, you don't want to do it in Revit. Because Revit will create an interference check. It will link IDs with each other, showing you. It won't work if you're working with other parties. It's nice for an initial QA/QC procedure internally, but don't use it for if you're working with other parties. Well, you have visualization software, say the 3D Studio Max, and one which is mostly forgotten, but that's collaboration software. And collaboration can come in forms like PMWeb, because everybody can access all the information. This one is the one we're testing now. It's called BIM Collab, short for BIM Collaboration. For example, it's very simple. This is a project I'm working on. Everybody has access to it. It's not filled yet because it only recently started, so but you can click on it, and anybody can click on it. And what you will get is all the issues from the models directly into your web interface. I made this report from Solibri. It will directly upload to the web interface. Anybody can click on this. Anybody can open it within Revit, Tekla, or whatever kind of software which supports the format. I won't go into detail of that. And they can say closed, solved. They can show what they have done. Look, here was there a clash. The architect told me clash has been solved, issue has been closed, move on to the next. So for a BIM manager, this is a brilliant tool. Everybody can use this. Now, a little summary again. You can see, for example, on the left, this is the Revit environment. This is where you model. And that's a Solibri environment. That's where you check the model and see what's wrong with the design and who has to fix it. BIM offers a great opportunity in the world. It gave me enormous advantage of my other colleagues I was working with a few years ago. BIM is about design. How does it look? It's about coordination. Is it buildable? And about information. And one of the things the construction industry really needs to get used to, it's about collaboration. You have to benefit from the strong points of every discipline. An architect knows more about design than an MEP engineer, but an MEP engineer knows more about, well, what do I need to do to make this warm, this room? I don't think he did a good job, huh? The engineer. If you're looking at, for example, the Middle East, Revit, Naviswork, Autodesk is really the big player. So if you want to invest time and do not want to go into a niche market, Revit is the way to go. Well, the last one is if you want to get ahead, BIM is the way to go. BIM it's still maturing. It isn't done yet. So everybody who's working with BIM is learning every day. I'm learning new software. I'm learning new workflows. Your learning curve will be insanely fast. And within BIM, you will learn fast. You will learn a lot. You will make mistakes. I make mistakes every day. No worries. Because it's new technology. And people don't know much about it. But right now, it's the time to invest about getting to know how to BIM model and work with 3D and be ahead of the game.